Okay, this is Chair Lisa Edel. I'd like to call this meeting of the Human Affairs Committee of November 14th to order. First order of business is a roll call. Stuart Anderson.
Present.
Cord Bauer.
Here.
Tyler Bowden.
Here.
Rosemary Salas.
Here.
Jill Schechter, let the record reflect Jill Schechter is absent. Dick Vale.
Here.
And Lisa Edel is present. Who would like to lead the Pledge of Allegiance?
I'll lead. Okay.
Thank you.
Place your right hand over your heart and begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Stuart. Item number 3 is our minutes, to approve the minutes from the October 24th special meeting of the Human Affairs Committee. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Me.
Minutes are approved. Do we have any special or public presentations? No? Okay, then let's move on to our unfinished business and updates. Our first order of business, and the only order of business which is detailed, is our Human Affairs Committee work plan for FY 2023 and 2024. So before we jump into this, for item A, well, okay, I'll do it when we get to it. So for the Community Resource Fair, the first project, were we able to investigate potential dates, staff members?
I have not. I apologize.
That's
We
okay.
definitely want it in March, right?
Yes, please.
And do we need to indoor, outdoor?
Indoor would be fine, like we did it last time.
Okay.
Just because sometimes it's a little bit rainy.
Yeah.
We never know.
I think it's dark.
Yes, it does. So we did 4 o'clock last time. That's about right, don't you think?
Yeah.
Okay. So as soon as we have that date, as our team members on our work group contact all of the providers, then the next item, update the resource registry on the city website. That will occur as a spin-off of confirming all the providers that are going to be participating in the Community Resource Fair. And we'll also be identifying perhaps some new resources that can be included. So that's for project number 2. The third project is the mentorship program with Mr. Bowden leading. Tyler, would you like to give us an update?
Yeah, give an update. So the Chamber of Commerce is continuing to develop its workforce development committee, which the 3 subcommittee members from this committee are invited to be a part of. And they'll have regular meetings starting next year, immediately following their Government Affairs Committee meetings, which happen on the 4th Wednesday of each month. And so that committee is comprised of ourselves, representing City of San Clemente, also Jonathan Lightfoot, representing City, Terry Steele, who is, she works with Noble Path Foundation, and they have their subgroup called the Aim High Series for Kids. She also now works for Ready Set OC, which is the County of Orange workforce program. And we'll also have representation from the Auto Academy on that group as well. So that's pretty exciting.
From the what academy?
The Auto Academy.
What's that?
San Clemente High School. It's their auto shop.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
remember you talking about that. Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, so it's very exciting to have them involved. I'm actually attending a meeting. It's their annual advisory committee meeting on Thursday this week. And I just kind of randomly got an invite to go to that and really just excited to learn more from them because obviously they're a trade. And my thought is, focusing on the trades with this type of program is really what's important. But so it's, work in progress. We'll continue to update as the months go by.
Excellent. Every 15 minutes, I think we have some good news, Rosemary, right?
We did get our grant.
Nice.
So I
gonna
am meeting.
happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen finally. So I am meeting with San Clemente High tomorrow later in the afternoon we're going to pick dates, and he's going to let us know what we need to do and what they're going to do. And I mean, there's a pretty big, you have to follow Highway Patrol's guidelines on everything, but so I'll know more tomorrow.
Okay, and then you can communicate with Stuart and I since we're in the work
Exactly.
group
What we need
on
to
what
do.
needs to happen next, and then we
Mhm.
can start checking all the boxes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, congratulations.
Finally.
That is great
Yeah.
news. I know, that was a long hill, steep hill to climb for you. San Clemente High School Humanitarian Award?
And what I'm doing on this, I'm going to get a flyer done up. And what I would like to do is we'll get it printed off and then give it to every junior teacher at San Clemente High so that they can maybe hand it out so it's more well known what it is versus just. I feel like in the past, this last couple of years, we were just going and they were kind of selecting certain groups. But I think we need to open it up and have it be a representation of the whole school.
Do they have academic counselors that might be able to help if they were made aware of it as well?
Mm-hmm. I think so, yeah.
That might be interesting, because if they have kids that they think are deserving,
Right,
sort of like when they're helping kids apply for college, they'll say, apply here, I see you fitting here.
right.
Maybe they can make recommendations for the
Yeah.
humanitarian award, so you get some a nice pool of candidates
So when
this time.
I'm in there tomorrow with the people we're meeting with, I'll ask them about that
What
also.
time's your meeting tomorrow?
I think it's like 2:30.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
One thing I have yet to do is to get us connected with Paula Cole, who used to kind of head up
Do
that
that,
program for this
yeah.
committee. So I can set up a meeting with us
Perfect,
to kind
yeah.
of pick her brain on how
Yeah.
that process worked in the
Okay.
past.
Because even if you, and I don't know if kids would think this is corny, they probably would, but I'm old, so it's okay. If there's a school assembly or something of that nature, even getting up and, having the committee members come on your work group and speaking to the assembly about what this is and what the opportunity is.
Right.
Or maybe go to some of the AP classes and speak to them, because those are kids that are applying to college and they're going to want more awards. That's a kudo for them that
Right.
they can put in their application packet. I mean, I'm spitballing, but I'm just thinking about how do you get people engaged.
Right.
So, just a thought. Okay. Thank you for that. And then Cord, the AI questionnaire.
We have movement.
Congratulations.
None of it because of me, it's because of Tamara. Do you want to talk about it?
Well, we do have an example of it right here. And this is not the actual questions. We just wanted to get something up there to demonstrate basically what Cord is trying to do. But the questions would be work within the work plan, of course, what our mission is, but then AI will take its shape to where it forms the question properly, if I'm understanding all of this correctly.
This is a proof of concept. This is to make sure that the bones, the skeleton, the software is working properly. We can plug in our AI questions later, but we need to make sure that the infrastructure is in place, and that's what we're doing now.
Great.
We can go do like purple socks or blue socks,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
It's pretty basic survey stuff. We put in the qualifiers for zip codes so that they'll put in, you'll know if they're local or not. And then it's just a scale, from interested to very interested, super easy to tabulate. I threw in at the end, since we talked about public events and what have you, it's like, would you want to receive agendas and invitations? I just threw that in there just to give you an idea. But yes, to start an email list so that you can start talking to folks. Maybe find future volunteers to, lighten the load when you're doing public events. And then the email is also for them to be able to say that they want to opt in. Not a robot, just basic CAPTCHA. And that's about it. And yes, you can now only plug in one.
Oh, good. When we ran the first iteration, you could check every single box.
Yeah.
So you were interested and not
Yeah.
interested at the same
Okay.
time.
So when my
So you're
question's
feeling kind
not
of
useful-
ambivalent that day.
Pardon me?
Were my questions not useful then?
Here's the thing. You got back to me, no one else did. Nobody.
Yeah.
None ya.
Wait a minute, I did.
Nope. He was the only one that came back with questions. You came back with, you said, and I think there's real value to this, is that,
I got it a week late.
no, doesn't matter. He said, Stuart said that it would be good to get input from the public as to what they want to see on the questionnaire, which does make sense. And I think we need to go there. I want to go there. I want to make sure that the bones of this are working properly before we fully implement it.
Yeah, you don't start there.
Yeah. And the other thing we had talked about is potentially getting mean and median. And then also, we can actually look at who responds, and you can look at their actual computer signature or their cell phone signature, so you can take out duplicates.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
people can't stuff the ballot box. In other
Gotcha.
words.
Okay. And is
So-
this, and it's just San Clemente residents?
That's
To where you direct them,
Okay.
wherever, however you get the word out there.
Well, remember we talked about putting it in the water bill, so it would have to be certain zip codes.
Right. Okay.
672, 673, 6,
So I
whatever.
can't read, what are the questions? I can't read
Oh,
the
they're-
rest of
they're-
this.
It's just a basic so we can see it works. What is your zip code?
But you haven't got to the specific questions.
no, not really. Not
So what
yet.
I put in here, it just says Human Affairs Committee is seeking your feedback on today's hot topic. We appreciate your insight and welcome the opportunity to share details with the San Clemente leaders. It's your objective. So we put in the zip codes, as I mentioned. How likely are you to attend or support a public event focused on homelessness, elders, veterans, women, men, teens, children, families in crisis, those with special needs and or mental health? I just took that straight from the work plan.
Right.
I was not trying to feed a
Right,
question,
yeah.
it was just really just to get the
Just
process
generic.
started. And then just the, very interested, somewhat neutral, somewhat disinterested, very disinterested. And then would you use an online community resource directory as a tool? The last one is, would you like to receive meeting agendas and invitations to events hosted by the Human Affairs Committee? Yes, please add me to your list. No, not this time. And then you do the CAPTCHA, I put in my email address and you just hit submit. And it gives you an auto responder, thank you for your submission. Very basic, very simple. This is the same tool that is used on our website for Parks and Rec all the time, for other various, in fact, there was an old Human Affairs questionnaire on there from like 2020. So anywho, very simple, and I use, let's see how fast it comes. I heard it come through on my phone.
Mhm.
But I got my survey response on my phone,
Oh,
but
that's
I
fine.
wanted to show you what you get.
So you get confirmation that you took the questionnaire.
Okay.
And Stuart brought up another good point as well, and that is his water is on auto pay, just like my water. I never
Me
see.
too, I don't
I
think
never
so.
see my bill.
So, that's one thing that we should take into consideration, is whether
Yeah.
you've got just a small group of people.
Pass that around.
Yeah, that shows.
You
that
do
it
get an
is-
email though, if they want to communicate to you, like about our water rates going up. Surprise!
Yeah.
6%.
This isn't supposed to be something that is extremely scientific, but it's supposed to take the temperature. And one thing we had discussed was potentially, like maybe putting the questions, putting a QR code into even San Clemente Times, and then putting the question in, and then showing the response the next week. And I need to get with Sean Raimundo about that. You know that they changed hands, so I'm not sure what they're
Oh,
how they're
San
gonna
Clemente Times.
yeah
See, that's what she.
how they're gonna respond, but that might be an option.
no.
So
So that email is actually forwarded to Stuart, Cord, Janet, and myself. And then once everything gets kind of worked in, I'll also be able to download it into a report. You can upload it to Excel, then carry it over into your constant contacts, whatever it is you want to use, and just start maintaining a database.
Cool.
Good.
Can we add a link or QR code to the email that the city sends out to all the people that,
Not to,
Get the-
what now?
I get an email from the city about my water bill every month. So can we add a link or a QR code to that email so that all those people that get the emails can then get that survey?
You know, it's a weird, I would love to say yes, but I don't know. Different divisions have different rules and regulations, how they manage their email list. Oftentimes when someone opts in to a city email, they're specific to their utility bill or parks and rec.
Oh, you mean they have to give permission, grant permission in order for you to use their information?
So, I mean, it doesn't mean that if you gave, you know, just because you have, just because you opted in to get your bill remotely doesn't mean that you opt in for all city communications. And we have to be very sensitive to that, because, you know, we get in trouble for things that we don't ask permissions for. But I can always look into it. You know, if you're gonna put in to, you know, something in the water bill and you put a QR code, I mean, I don't know, we'd have to still research it, find out what the steps would be for that.
Yeah, the question that's coming to mind for me is kind of how we'll use this list on an ongoing basis, and you know, seeing, thanks for presentation because it helps me to see it more fully, like what it could be, and it seems to me that rather than it being kind of a one-off blast to try to get an answer to, you know, one or more questions, it could be a continually building list of people that we can, you know, use as a sounding board.
It's a question of the week, because, you know, things come up on a weekly basis, you know, whether it's beautifying a street, or whether it's something happening in North Beach, or if it's fire related or whatever.
Well, but you have to remember, human affairs is in a scope.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful that you stay within your scope.
The context of
So
our
you
work
can't,
plan.
yeah, you can't go jumping
And what
into,
council orders.
you know, coastal advisory commission's bucket.
That's
Or
true.
into public
That's true.
safety. So you have to remember that everything that you're
Yeah.
putting out there, now we can share the tool with others. You know, I mean, it's the
I'm not-
basic, you know, if
And that's
public affairs wants to do one, and we can. set
That's
up
kind of
and
how
do
I
one.
feel about human affairs, that if you have something that really works, it gets handed off, and it ends up with the city, or it ends up with the council, or whatever, you know, and it becomes its own entity, and it's not just something that we hold ourselves, you know.
Well, no, trust me, I mean, I can show you, there's hundreds of surveys
Yeah.
that the city has throughout their website. Some are
Yeah.
open still, some are not. Some you can navigate to, most of them, like this one, you do not navigate to, because you want to keep it to a source that
Yeah.
you're sending them to there to control it.
Yeah.
And that's the majority of them. So, but yeah, I mean, trust me, all the divisions use the surveys.
If we are, not to take too much time with this, but if the city, if the council asks us to make a survey, no matter what it would be about, we would make a survey for them, correct? We're at their.
Yeah, you.
If
work
it's
at
at the
pleasure
direction
council.
of city council,
Yeah.
at their behest,
Yeah.
then we have the green light to do it because they've instructed
Yeah.
us to do it.
Yeah, and I'd obviously, you know, before we went out and made a whole bunch of questions, I would take all the questions that we potentially have, and I'd send it up to city council and go, hey, you like this list? You want to add to it? And then go from there. So that's
reasonable.
the general thought.
So we could just make a list of the things that we think might be important, and then
Sure.
have the city council sign off on it or make additions.
Yeah, I
So
think
now how
so.
would you work with the other divisions on that? Because you would be.
I think we just need to stick with human affairs for now.
Yes, and get
Yeah.
dialed in.
And then if we
Because
have
you're talking
some,
about jumping into other buckets, now you have to
Not
collaborate.
necessarily, because when you get the questions back, then you go, okay, these are germane, these are not. Okay, let's filter this out and just focus on these. So we're not going to go after crime and safety in our bucket. I agree with you. We should stick to our lane.
Yeah.
Personally, I think the questions that were put out there are perfect. It's very simple.
I know, I do too.
You know, it's, I don't know if we need any
Right off the
more
work
than that,
plan.
just to
Copy
gauge
paste.
interest in people answering questions about what we're working on.
Yeah.
It's the resource fair and it's the resource guide. you
But it
know.
helps with awareness too.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
absolutely.
awareness and.
Well, and here's something that just came to mind. Maybe does your child attend San Clemente High School, and they'd be interested in learning more about the Humanitarian Award and applying for it.
Mm-hmm. Get that QR code out to the schools.
There are some interesting things that could spring off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The world is your oyster.
We just have to stay in our lane. That's my job, right? Rosemary, my job. Okay. Next item, Dorothy Visser Senior Center improvements. Dick?
Yeah, really, we're not doing it until actually the first of the year.
Okay.
Did you get a date?
No. She says, come see me next month.
Okay.
So, we'll set up something in January. I have the guy to clean the chairs, and I can have him come in anytime. So, but I'll probably wait till after the holidays too, because people spill stuff all over those chairs. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So anyway, instead of wait to do everything until January.
Perfect.
Yeah. And she's checking to see how much paint she has and what colors and so forth.
It could look like the Partridge Family bus by the time we get done. Patchwork.
Indeed. Yeah.
I'm dating myself. Stuart, do you happen to know, and I can call and find out, but do you happen to know if they're doing the donations for the seniors like we did last year?
Dick, you need.
I mean, Dick. I'm sorry. Concussion.
No, I don't know.
Seriously, I have things happen.
Donations for Christmas, you mean?
For the seniors?
I don't know.
Okay.
Should I find out?
Would you?
Sure, if I do.
That'd be fabulous.
Yeah, because we did quite a bit last year.
We did a lot.
A bunch of us donated.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
great. Sure. I'm involved with FAM for a lot of stuff, so I'm up to my eyeballs.
We did. Well, I can do it. I
So
can do
and
it.
you're friends with Beth?
Yeah.
Why? Yeah.
We did gift bags and
Yeah.
candies
Yeah.
and small little
Yeah.
gifts and different things.
Yeah.
I'm supplying meals and presents for hundreds of families, so
Why don't you let us do that?
I'm a
Then?
little involved.
Yeah,
Okay.
you don't have to ask. We'll take it. Okay, thanks, Dick.
On that subject, just it's kind of an aside, but the Interact Club at the high school, the high school version of Rotary, they're going to be doing letter writing for seniors for Christmas.
Oh, how nice.
So if you guys wanted to put those together, have something submitted to because it'll go to the senior center.
Okay.
So
Oh, that could go in our gift bags.
Yeah.
if you want,
Can you send me the information?
Yeah.
Of who to get a hold of and.
yeah, it'd be
can
me.
talk to-
I'm kind of
Okay,
one of the
you.
leaders of that.
Okay, hi, you.
Yeah.
So we'll talk to Beth Apodaca about
Cool.
what the senior center needs, and then we'll touch bases and
Sounds
see if
good.
we can coordinate that.
Okay.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I Christmas is right around the corner.
Crazy.
Sorry, I'm just taking a note before we move on. Okay, great. And the next item is community development and block grants. Rosemary, I don't think this is time yet. They haven't submitted those to you.
Right, yeah, no, this is something, I believe it's in February. The last 2 years I've done it was February.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
And the next item is character counts. Tyler?
Yeah, Stuart and I have gotten together on this, and we kind of listed out the public elementary schools in town that we thought would be a good starting point for this program. It's a program that was in the elementary schools primarily previously, and so we kind of divvied up the schools to do outreach to, and I think what we found so far is that schools already have certain components of the character counts program, meaning they already promote character traits within their schools in their own ways, and whether that's a function of the program having been on the campus previously, or just it's just character traits are obviously a good thing to promote. But I think we'll continue to try to investigate and meet with the principals or whomever we can on the campus to learn what they're already doing. Another thing I learned about the character counts program is there is a curriculum for it, and it's something that they basically sell. So the Drake University program, they sell some kind of material or curriculum that's given to the classrooms, and it's also something that a school district could purchase. And it was interesting in looking at their materials, a district purchasing their materials versus a classroom. is like almost the same cost. So, you know, I really don't know if this is going to turn into something, but if it does, it seems maybe that it would make sense for the district to try to, you know, kind of engage with this rather than an individual school or classroom, because
Well, they can then distribute it out to the schools.
right, exactly, and there's so much more reach that would have for like a nominally larger cost. So kind of still work in progress. I've only just reached out to the principals for the 3 schools that I've been given, and I think Stuart's already heard back from 1, right?
2 now.
From 2, okay.
Yeah.
And what was the word back that you got?
It was from Marblehead, and let's see. Yeah, Marblehead said that they have they promote a trait every month, and this
Okay.
month it's a responsibility.
Okay.
And then the students nominate who they think should get an award, and then they recognize that child.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
And responsibility is one of the 6
Pillars,
traits.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's some version of this program is all over the place, you know. And whether this is the program or if it's just kind of nobody has a reservation on words, you know, on character traits, but it's just that they have, you know, materials and curriculum and programs that are already implemented and available to be able to apply. Do you know if it was the Character Counts program that do they cycle through 6
She didn't
traits?
say.
Okay.
I think they do.
At
Yeah,
Marblehead?
when we were there, yeah.
Okay. It's interesting. Yeah.
And I know I see some of my friends, they're posting with their kids, and it seems like, yeah, it's a different, but it's all, they do it every month. They give the prizes, awards and stuff.
Yeah. So it is happening.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, continuing to learn about how it's happening and how we might be able to support.
Excellent, thank you. And then our last item is the overall homelessness strategy and solutions for change. So I just want to touch on a couple of things. The direction from City Council regarding the overall homelessness strategy was to investigate best practices. And I see that you met with outreach, so we'll go through all of the details of that meeting. So thank you for preparing this for us.
And it was also to investigate a regional solution.
Actually, no, that wasn't specifically what it was. It was to determine best practices from,
That was part of it, I believe. I think if you look, I was there, so.
The work plan does say available regional solutions.
yes. I'll finish my train of thought.
I'm
now.
sorry.
It's
Go
okay.
ahead, Rob.
I just want to finish my train of thought because in any case, one of the items, and we'll discuss what you said as well, is to find out what other cities are doing regarding best practices. That means, and if they have a human affairs committee, or if you can approach somebody on city staff, like the city manager, and say, do you have someone that can answer some questions about what your city is doing? The hopes are that we can bundle all of this information together into a report that we then submit to City Council. I was cautioned that we should not be entering into discussions with other cities regarding committing to any types of partnerships or making suggestions of what could occur. They're already in discussions with a number of cities that surround us, and there could be potential Brown Act violation questions, or it could be detrimental to current discussions our city council and city leadership are having with surrounding cities. So in terms of investigating shelter options, for example, or I don't know, whatever they're doing for their housing, if somebody expresses an interest in housing that's homeless in another city, well, what do you do then? Who do you refer them to? How do you handle that? So it's more understanding what all of the other cities are doing versus entering our own negotiations or discussing potential partnerships.
I'm sorry
with
you got
other cities.
confused about this. I wasn't confused at all. When I set this whole meeting up, it was to start with San Clemente. So I set up a meeting with our 2 outreach people, Troy, and
Oh, this
Carl.
isn't- this
And it was
isn't-
only, that's all we're doing is looking for best practices. If you read the report, I'm sorry I didn't get it done in time to get it ahead of time.
No,
But it's all assessing the best practices. This is what they're doing. Our next plan is to go to the other cities and do the same thing. It's not any partnership, we're not projecting any partnership to build a shelter in 3 cities, right? That's not our function. All we're doing is getting the best practices. And what
I'm,
they're
I'm
doing.
really glad you said that because it's come to my attention that other discussions have occurred
With who?
with other cities.
Wasn't us.
It-
We haven't contacted anybody yet.
I actually contacted Dana Point and San Juan Capistrano and said, there seems to be consensus to have a regional solution to the homeless problem.
Oh, okay. Oh.
And
So-
do you
and that's-
have
It
any,
wasn't me.
do you have any suggestions on what to do?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
that was my understanding from,
So really,
City
what we
council
have to
direction.
walk that back a little bit because they're already in discussions with them about a shared, a multi-city plan. So we're not,
I'm glad to hear that. That's tremendous.
it's fantastic. But they said, don't rain on our parade, basically. Like us trying to do that can interfere with
Yeah.
conversations that they
And I
have.
knew that's going on too, and I wouldn't even mention it.
That's just what I was trying to stress. So it's more, we need to stay with what Dick was talking about, and that's exactly right. And so I wasn't referring to what you're doing right now. I was just referring to talking to other cities and saying, hey, do you have an appetite for this? Because it's already occurring above our pay grade. So what's been asked of us is to gather exactly what you said, Dick, to gather get best practices, and I'm excited to hear about this, and then gather information from surrounding cities to see if we can avail ourselves of any of their best practices. And then one thing, if you'll remember that Councilmember Noblock mentioned, was to investigate Be Well and see if there's anything that we could do there in terms of the services they have available. And for example, if somebody has a mental health crisis, is that a service that's available to the city, and what does that look like and feel like? And then we're going to report that back to city council and city leadership in our.
I did speak to one city about Be Well, and
Uh-huh.
they said they pay more than $750,000 a year to contract with Be Well, and then Be Well is there when they need them. So that's
But what
Kind of-
does Be Well do? I mean, they just come out and talk to them? I mean, do they take them and place them in a facility?
Do they get treatment?
I
or-
get the impression that Be Well would send a van around to respond to crises.
Who told me Be Well was owned by the same people that used to own SoberTech? Is that,
So
is there
if that's
any-
not affiliated with this Be Well, but they're Be Well, this Be
There's
Well
two
needs
Be
to know
Wells?
that. So the guy that closed SoberTech because of unethical
Yeah.
insurance billing practices took the Be Well name, and I don't know if Be Well knows
Is aware
that.
of it.
If Be Well Irvine knows
Yeah.
that, but there's a lot of goodwill around the Be Well name.
Not
So
more.
But yeah, he's gonna destroy that.
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So that, but it's not the same Be Well to
You're
answer your
right,
question.
it's a bad thing, it's got a bad connotation.
Yeah.
Horrible.
I agree.
But to your point, Stuart, if you have that information, that should be documented in your report so that we can give that to the city. Because Councilmember Noblock did give that to us as one of the items, is tell us what Be Well does, what resources are available. And the other thing would be,
What cost?
what's the
what they
cost and
provide.
can we order a la carte? Like, if we need emergency crisis intervention, is that an a la carte item that we can sign up for with Be Well? Because I really don't know. So, I mean, heck, if somebody's having a problem and there's a resource to get them help, rather than just calling an ambulance, let's see, if we can report that back to council.
You're getting notifications.
Okay,
Is that reasonable?
All this stuff.
absolutely.
Okay. So, we can even, let's go through the meeting that you already had, because it sounds like you have some really good questions. And then if we have additional questions as a committee that we'd like to think tank to add into, maybe what you're asking, I think it would be helpful.
Sure. So basically, Stuart, if you look at it, if you read this thing, you'll see that I gave them, I sent you the report right away last week, and then I sent it to Troy and Carly, and Danielle. And this is some of it's been changed. You'll see they've added a lot of stuff to some of it I didn't have in the notes, but some of it, it's all new. So it's,
Oh, so did you go, oh, surprise?
this is really good. So
Okay,
maybe they refined it a little bit.
all right.
I guess refined.
It takes a village, right?
Yeah, it takes-
Yeah,
Okay, just brief, you want me to just do it briefly?
Yeah.
yeah, you can do it slowly, do whatever you want.
Okay, so I told you we met at Milan's. It was, the point count, you remember, it's 81 homeless, and we don't know until 2023.
Okay,
I asked what the demographics are for the people 25 to 65, 43 males and 21 females currently. They get 400 or 500 encounters a month. Imagine, I didn't know.
Yeah,
Oh,
they get in touch
unbelievable.
with all of them,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then, I'm not gonna go through this, but how do you handle a typical, so on my way to that meeting, I drove down Palizada and the Valero gas station's on your right, and right at that corner was a homeless guy, just sitting there. No sign, no nothing, just homeless in his bag. So I went to the meeting, I says, okay, I just ran by this guy, So what is your way of handling him? And basically, this is it. So I think you all should read this. It's very complicated. It's got a lot of different ways of handling it. I'm not gonna go through all that, but, and we'll take it up to the next meeting.
okay.
Do other cities have coordinators? Basically, they said, because San Clemente's been so successful, everybody else wants to do the same thing now. Interesting, huh? The big thing is, Laguna Beach, you see, I have a big writing here. They can take homeless people off the street because they have a shelter to offer them. If you can offer a shelter, of course, you can move. Otherwise, you'll read, they can't.
And it's shelter at will, where the city can place people. So for example, the city couldn't go to one of FAM's shelters and say, hey, we have somebody that wants to come to your shelter. I mean, it has to be shelter available for the city to place people in, right?
Yeah.
They have their beds.
Yeah,
We do our own shelter.
right, that's what I'm
They
saying.
don't, the city will say, here's somebody for you.
Right,
We have our own list of people.
right.
All right, so what's the county's role? And it's really interesting, she says, they use the Orange County Healthcare Agency and Orange County Housing Authority. Housing Authority, she said it takes weeks to get a reply,
If they respond at all.
if they respond at all. Do other cities have programs dealing with homeless at work? Well, Laguna Beach as well, we know that, okay. At the end of the, I said, there's a report, I was shocked at this, I didn't know this report was attached in the last page. It's interesting, we should get that every month.
We do at council.
Oh,
Council.
But it would be great if we could
I
have
think
it.
we should
Right,
get it
you
too.
can- yeah.
I've never seen this report.
It's on the city's website.
I know, but I don't get on the city's
Yeah.
website, so how would I know?
Right.
Really, how?
Right.
So we're after the council, so if it's available, I
Yeah,
can
we'll
always.
just- yeah.
Can you send it to us or something?
Well, I'll just bring it to the next meeting.
Okay, that'd be great.
I saw somewhere that it was mentioned that Laguna Beach, because they have a homeless shelter, is it 60% occupancy or
Yes,
50?
60%
60%. So
60%.
you need to be able to house 60%.
of the homeless.
Not
According
50.
to Martin versus Boise, 60% of the point in time count
Okay.
homeless.
Because I think at one point we were all sitting around
Well,
going, is it
actually,
50 or
it was
60?
Catholic
And I just
Workers
didn't.
versus Laguna Beach, that was their agreement by Judge Carter.
I read an update that was the agreement for the state of California, but I could stand corrected.
You mean you're right. Laguna Beach, when I talked to them, they said that's where they got that number. was-
Their lawsuit
was
settlement?
They had a settlement between Catholic Worker versus Laguna Beach in front of Judge Carter, and that's what they agreed upon.
Okay.
Am I on this group?
Yes.
I don't remember you being on the group. I didn't even
Well,
contact
you're listed on,
you. Listed.
listed.
It's right here on your agenda.
It seemed, you thought it was
Anderson, Bauer, and Vale.
Okay.
Did you volunteer for it last meeting?
I mean, do you want
Oh,
to
you
be
did,
on?
okay.
You did.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a meeting, someone tell me.
We didn't have, we only met with this, I didn't know you were on the committee.
That's fine.
Just Stuart and I.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I'm sure you weren't being subversive
No,
about
no,
it.
so we'll have a meeting sometime next month to go, what's our plan to go to the cities? And who to contact in the cities, so we'll start working on that after Thanksgiving.
You know, until today, I'd never even considered that putting a pole out would be like jumping out of a lane, or get in trouble with another committee. So this is all, I mean, I think it's really good that we're all talking
We all learn as we go.
right now, so.
We all learn as we go. But we all want to do things within the structure of what our charge is, and we want to stay in our lane. But that's not to say we don't want to work with other committees, because we certainly can. We just have to.
Absolutely.
We'll go to our city helpers and ask how to do it and what we're allowed to do.
Let me just add in there that I was under the impression that we were meant to be finding a regional solution. And so because of that, I sent emails to Selma Capistrano and Dana Point, just saying, I understand that regional solution is kind of what we're looking for, and do you have any suggestions? And somebody from Dana Point got back to me and said, we have been in discussion with San Clemente city staff about this already, and I didn't know that.
How would we know?
So I emailed Andy Hall, and I said, this is what I got back from Dana Point. Do you know anything about this? And he said, when you have your next meeting, I suggest you invite me and City Council members Loeffler and Enmeyer, so we can all be on the same page. So that's kind of what I was going to do next, if that's okay with the committee.
Meeting of who? Us?
Meeting of the...
Human Affairs
sub-
Committee?
No,
Oh,
no,
your
the
subcommittee.
the
Great
subcommittee.
idea.
Okay.
Who told you to stay out of this, keep our? thing to-
City leadership.
Yeah, so now you got a conflict already.
Yeah, there's
Copy.
conflict right there.
So there's a disconnect, so you gotta get it straight.
Oh,
So
well,
are you inviting these
I
people or
would,
you're not?
I was just told this today, so I'm happy to reach out to Andy Hall. Do me a favor, send me a note what Andy told you, and I'll clarify on our behalf, on the committee's behalf, and I'll communicate with you and we'll go from there.
Will do.
Is that fair?
Sure.
Good.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what I would suggest, so when I look at the summary for Laguna Beach, they're way ahead of the curve. They have homeless outreach, mobile outreach with clinical staff by Be Well, offering mental health services. So what that leads me to ask is, what does that look like, feel like? What's the cost? Is it a la carte? Is it all encompassing? I would, for the mental health piece, for example, I'd like to drill down on specific questions that you ask every city so we can find out
Okay,
if it's doable for us. And we can come up with those 6, 8, 10 questions as a committee if that's better. We could do that right now. Okay.
Yep.
And then, and they're able to enforce no camping laws to having 2 shelters in town. How many beds are each shelter? And how many are open for the police in the case of somebody who has an urgent need?
I also think we need to ask them, because California's laws, we don't prosecute anyone. And I know Newport Beach spent a ton of money opening a shelter, and they can't enforce. Because they arrest the people that won't move, and they take them to jail, and they're back before the officers are back.
So what would that question be?
So it would be, how do you enforce? How do you force them off the street, right? If there's-
We should be asking San Francisco that. You want my head to explode? Let's start
Yeah,
talking
You
about
had
that.
exactly.
President Xi coming, they cleaned the whole
Yeah,
streets up.
clean it all up.
Yeah, they cleaned them all up.
And I think everybody at this table should realize that this is a political problem.
Yeah.
This is
Political,
not, this is, if they want to do it, they will.
Do it, yeah.
Otherwise, you leave these people on the street in pain and dying so you can get money. And it disgusts me to no end that this happens.
Well, look at it happen with WSL. People were gone for 2 days.
WSL.
The surf contest.
Oh,
Yeah.
Down at Trestles when everybody was cleared out, and then
Right.
everybody was back.
So the question would be, because I know I've got good friends in Newport Beach, they're furious. They've spent all this money, they've got beds, and they can't. And there's tent cities going to Fashion Island. I don't know if you guys have gone up and looked, but there's tent cities all
The
over.
train stations.
It's a mess, and they can't enforce. So what's the purpose of
Or
spending
they
that amount of
don't
money?
enforce.
They don't enforce because
Yeah.
what are the police? They arrest them, but then they're down in jail,
We're
they're
the-
back out. So what does that do to the homeless people? It's just like, well, it's
Where'd
again.
the $20 billion go
Right.
in the last 4 years?
So anyway, that would be a question. How are you enforcing? How are you enforcing?
So,
Okay.
we're not going just to Laguna Beach. We're
No,
not going to Newport. We're going to go to San Juan, Dana
Yes.
Point, Mission Viejo, Laguna,
Yeah.
all our closest South.
Right, right.
None of them have
So-
shelters.
I say, I'm not to cut you off, but I say let your fingers do the walking too, because there are places in Texas.
No. It has to be California.
Our
code.
spot. Our
It
spot.
has to be in our
Well,
spot.
I know, but there are ideas everywhere. You can go to Utah and find ideas.
I'm not, we're only talking about what these cities are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do they have an outreach, sir? And let's talk to the outreach people. You
Okay,
come-
why don't we come up with the questions?
You come up with a question.
Okay, whatever, we're gonna do it together.
Yeah.
You're number one.
All right.
Do you have an outreach
What's your
person?
first question?
Do you have it? Yours. You
Yeah,
just said it.
You've got great questions.
Do you have an outreach person? Or people, right?
Yep.
And what are their roles? What role do they play?
Now, all these other cities, do you guys does FAM service all these other cities?
Yes.
Okay, so then FAM, they're going to FAM first? Or FAM is
Not
the,
necessarily.
okay. Or do they have a FAM type organization in the other cities?
No.
Okay, so you guys are the only ones from
Yes.
Irvine South.
So Lisa Viejo, Mission Viejo, Laguna
Okay.
Niguel. Yeah.
So you guys are the outreach for homeless.
Not
Okay,
outreach.
no, they're talking about outreach like Carly.
Carly, right, okay. But
Do you
you're
have
the
a-
facility for food and all that stuff, probably.
Right, but there are other food banks, right?
And you should know, all of you, that Saddleback Church, which had a huge food program,
We closed.
Stop.
kind of computer closed,
Closed, yeah.
was costing them $100,000 a month.
Wow.
So what has it done down the street here? The lines are atrocious. The city's going nuts with us because you know that.
Yeah.
So the city, we have cars lined up. Do you ever go down the street?
You know there are buses being dropped off across the border, like in San Diego. Like thousands of people are now
Okay,
being dropped
let's,
off.
I'm trying to get to some questions that we want to ask.
I'm just
Yeah.
explaining
Right.
what's happening.
I'm
No,
just
I
saying,
understand.
What's going on?
Right.
wait
We're
for a
being
bigger
burdened.
influx.
No, I understand. Okay,
Okay, number two.
do you have a shelter?
Well, we know no one has a shelter.
I know, but we
That's what
need
you
to
have
ask,
ask.
Okay.
right? Do you have a shelter or access to shelter beds? Because some cities buy shelter beds or rent shelter beds.
Okay.
Okay.
Exactly.
Do you have Project Room Key? I don't know if any cities still do Room Key. Do you?
I don't know, but that's part of, do you have shelter?
Well, no, it isn't, because
No.
shelter and Room Key are different. Because Room Key is hotel rooms.
Yeah.
Well, that's a shelter.
Yeah, but
I
let's
mean,
find
shelter-
out.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It is shelter because it's a roof over somebody's head, but a shelter where someone can be taken off the street and receive temporary housing versus a hotel room for a couple of nights are different.
So, Stuart, when they had the surf contest and the homeless were down there at the surf,
I'm well
Andy
aware.
Hall went there, had a fit, and called Troy and says, "Get these people out of here." So he took they took all those people up to Dana Point and San Clemente, put them in motels, the 5 people, and left them, no food, no nothing. And 11 o'clock the next morning, the managers came out and said, "Hey, you guys are gone," and they had no way to get back to where they were going. It was a nightmare. So, yeah,
So I'm just trying to understand both.
yeah,
Okay.
okay.
And then how about what do you do if somebody has in a mental health crisis? How do you handle a mental health crisis?
Make this as easy as
What's that?
possible. Sorry.
Or any kind of crisis, could be a drug abuse crisis as well.
Well, that was going to be my next one.
Okay.
Okay. How about a drug abuse crisis?
Yep.
Like an OD? Also, do your homeless have access to any type of recovery programs, addiction recovery programs? And how is that handled?
Great questions.
I've thought about this for a minute.
Well, we answered that for San Clemente, all in the above.
Right. But I want to, I mean, what I'd love to do, there's not going to be an aha. There's not going to be one sentence or one concept where we say, aha, we found it. Eureka, we've struck gold. But if we can get little pearls from neighboring cities, report that back to council, and there are things that can be implemented, then we're making some headway. Right? So access to recovery programs. How about healthcare? What if somebody needs glasses or dentures or blood pressure medication or insulin? What do you do? Right?
Communal health service in San Juan.
What about,
Yeah, that's it. They
do
great
the
work.
other cities have homeward bound, or do they all use FAM for their homeward bound if someone wants to go home?
Yeah.
How about rental assistance and gas assistance? Because some people are working poor, so do they receive rental assistance or gas
In
assistance?
the same vein, do they have programs to keep people from becoming homeless?
Yeah,
Which
each
would be
city.
rental assistance and gas assistance.
That's a really good one. So, how would we word that?
Do you have any programs that help with rental or gas assistance before someone becomes homeless? So it'd be-
Just assistance in general. Before they become
Assistance,
What was it before rental and gas assistance?
homeward bound. If somebody wants to go home, do you have access to get them
access to
home?
that, or do you send them down to you guys?
Do we want to ask about food pantries?
Yeah, how many what food pantries do you have in each city? Does your city have?
And how about clothing for that matter? Because people need clothes too, right?
homeless. Clean socks.
Yeah, clean socks, clean underwear, warm jackets. It's going to get cold and rainy.
Kind of comes under assistance, but that's a lot of, I mean, those are good questions to ask under assistance.
Yep.
Okay. You can ask them however you want. I'm just trying to gain a consensus from all of us that there's a framework so that when you're going into each meeting,
Yeah.
you're asking the same things, and then we can eventually compile that into a report. Here's what we're doing in Deltas. Here's what Dana Point
What
does.
about
Here's what
what does each city do with their homeless when it's raining or bad weather?
inclement weather.
Inclement weather.
They know.
Could we read over these?
I was going to. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay,
We can add more.
just to see if we can spur on any more ideas while I read what I have. And then if I got it wrong, correct me.
Is there a way to memorialize this and pass it around so we can add to it or make
There-
notes?
She's gonna read, and then if we throw in,
Yeah,
or we can have.
I guess you can't do it by email because that would be a
Right.
Brown Act violation.
Unless we,
I'll send this list to Tamara. You send it out to everybody else. How's that?
Perfect.
And
Fair
then
enough.
you get back to her.
If you want to add to
If
it.
you wanna add
Perfect.
to it.
Perfect.
Or change it, whatever.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
But sometimes I can't read my own notes.
Never happens to me, Deb.
That was a big problem the last meeting.
The good news is tomorrow you'll be able to go online and listen to it
Yeah.
all over again.
Oh, okay. Oh, really?
okay, so why don't I recap what we have so far? Number one, do you have an outreach person or people? What role do they play? Number two, do you have a shelter or access to beds? Number three, do you offer Project Room Key? So that's focused on hotel rooms. Number four, how do you handle a mental health crisis? Number five, how do you handle an abuse crisis? A drug OD, or it could even be alcohol, an alcohol OD. Number six, do your homeless people have access to recovery programs? So what does that look like and feel like? Number seven, what if they have healthcare needs, medication, dentures, eyeglasses, insulin, whatever it may be? Number eight, do you have homeward bound if someone is motivated to go home, to return home? Number nine, rental assistance, gas assistance. And a spin-off of that, to your point, Stuart, is assistance in general to prevent homelessness. So not just assistance to those that are already homeless, but what about people on the cusp to prevent them from falling into homelessness?
Exactly.
What do you do?
what's that term? There's a term you keep dancing around, and it slips my mind.
Well, if I knew it, I would say it.
I know, I've heard it used.
It's actually prevent homelessness.
Yeah.
That's what our mission is.
Prevent.
Yeah.
I'll remember.
So I said prevent homelessness. If you think of something else, John, if you have a word, tell us.
I use prevent homelessness.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that works. It communicates it, right? Okay,
I'm sorry.
please.
On the first one, I would just say, do you have an outreach person / program? Because some cities.
Thank you.
Contract with.
yeah.
Oh,
City
good
Net.
one.
City Net, yeah.
Sitting at our Mercy House.
Lisa,
Yes, sir.
do we have, I mean, if we're going to cities, can we go to our own city and ask what the actual requirements are for Boise? Because that's what we need to set.
It would be great to ask for what the city attorney's interpretation of Boise is, so we know what the requirements are.
That's the bottom line, right?
I know Scott Smith never opined on Boise.
Well, each city, I think, city attorney has a different take on it, probably, right?
I don't think it was, my understanding is that it was kind of vague, and so nobody really knows, and that's why that agreement that Laguna Beach had, that they agreed it would be 60% of the homeless population would be.
Okay, so let me finish this list and then I have an idea. Okay?
Okay.
And I just thought of another one that I want to bring up to the group to see if there's a consensus. Okay, so preventing assistance in general to prevent homelessness. What food pantries? How do people access food if they're hungry? And clothing. Do you have an inclement weather program? And Care Court. Have you worked with Care Court? What does it look like or feel like?
Yeah.
I got the word.
What?
You know how people are food insecure?
Mm-hmm.
They're also shelter insecure. So they're about to lose their home, they're about to lose their condo, they're back on rent.
At risk of becoming homeless?
Yeah, they're just about to become homeless.
I like at risk. That's good too.
What
Okay.
was the
Care Court.
14? Care Court?
Care Court.
Yes. Are you working with
With
them?
Care Court, yeah.
And what does that look like and feel like? Because that has to do with intervening in the case of someone who's unable
To
to
make the decision. for
make their own
themselves.
decision because they're mentally deteriorated.
Yeah.
And then they're placed basically under the state's conservatorship. And then there's a judge that puts together an up to 2-year treatment plan for that individual, including recovery, health care, whatever the case may be. But I don't know that anybody in Orange County is using it, and it's here now, so it would be great to ask neighboring cities if they're engaging with Care Court and how.
It's brand new, and
Right.
I think Orange County is one of those counties that said they're
Yes,
going to
right, yeah.
start doing it, but
Right.
anybody's actually done it yet.
Right. And when we asked, I think at the city council meeting, I can't remember who the individual was, but at a city council meeting, they asked about it and they said, oh yeah, we're looking into that. But what does that mean? Who's looking into it? What are the metrics? Who are the contacts? If we go outside right now and we see somebody clearly in crisis that's unintelligible, that can't form sentences, what do we do?
Call Carly and Troy, and then they call the police.
Yeah,
Right.
nothing really happens.
Right.
That's what they do, and then they try and find a program for them, and if they don't, they go to the hospital.
You can't. I bet you can't eat a whole half of that. I'm really sick. Thank goodness I dropped a piece on the floor.
So I just made Dick Bell sick.
I'm just going to
No
put the
guilt.
other piece right here and see what happens.
I will never forget when I did a ride along with OCSD. He was telling me he got this phone call, and it was from a guy. And I guess his sister posted, has anyone seen my brother? And it was in St. Cloud. The officer said, I know where he is. So when the officer saw him again, called the sister. And he was in such crisis, I don't know if you realize, but he let his sister take power of attorney. So they were able to force him into a program. And when I was with the officer, he called the officer to thank him for doing it. And he said, I never thought I had a relationship with my family. I'm going on vacation with my family. I've held a job. I mean, it was like that's what you want, And
It was a turning point.
Yeah, it was a turning point, and I just couldn't thank that officer enough for doing that, for finding the sister. You know, he obviously didn't know. He was given power of attorney, but he said it was the best thing he's ever done. And it was, you know, and got his life back. And there's so many on our street right now that if we could do that, I know they would have a better life.
Well, if you can't decide to take your medication, how do you take your medication?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's an interesting thing to investigate. I don't know if anybody saw, but Officer Garcia won an award today,
Yeah.
awarded by OCSD Officer of the Month, and I posted it. Thank
She's in the
you.
report.
Yeah.
Yeah, Amber.
Amber, she's awesome.
Yeah, she's great. She does. Oh, she's in your report.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so Care Court. So what I wanted to ask you all is, what do you think about me on behalf of the Human Affairs Committee emailing City Council and the City Manager and asking if we could request for the City Attorney to opine on Martin versus Boise and how many shelter beds we really need? Or what are the requirements in order for us to be in line with the requirements under Martin versus Boise?
It'd be Martin versus Boise, and it also would be, what is it, Casper?
Lanham and
There's
Petrus?
another one.
No, who? Well, it's LPS, but it's also, who's the other,
Aren't we involved in that where they're challenging the whole Martin versus Boise?
that's the state of
Yeah, the
California.
state of California.
But there's also the other judge that ruled about the encampment right by Anaheim. Carter. Right by the state. Carter. Yeah. So it's not only Boise, but it's also Carter, and then also sprinkle in LPS.
Why don't I Google it and find out what I can find out? So, well,
Maybe they don't want us to get into their purview on that.
Yeah, that we're almost,
I
that's
would-
their, yeah.
The city,
Okay.
the city has rules it has to follow.
Right,
And,
that's fair.
and what we're doing is we're going, what are the rules? If we know what the rules are, then maybe we can.
well, see, the reason that I brought that up, and you might be right, I mean, it would be way outside of my authority on behalf of our committee. But if you're going out to these other cities and finding what they're doing for shelter beds, are 5 beds enough? Or does it have to be 40 beds? Or 50 beds? Or can it be a hotel room? Or, I mean, that's what I'm trying to understand, but you may be right, it could be way outside of what we should be doing.
It could be that if we approach these other cities in the process, we'll learn what their interpretation of Martin versus Boise and these other rulings is, and then we can bring that back to our city council and city attorney for them to come up with their own. It's not like we start with our city attorney and city council and then use that information to go
So
to
roll all
other
that
cities,
information up, brilliant, so I'm not gonna
and
ask.
then go to them afterwards.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we
As
don't
part
want
of your
to. We
reporting.
don't want to reinvent the wheel at the same time. We don't. We have to.
Well, that's why, to Tyler's point, if we can learn from best practices, maybe that'll help.
I'd like to know where our starting point is. That's all. What do we follow now? What do we do now?
Well, I think the starting point is, pretty well outlined in this, what we have right here. This is where we are, this is well laid out. And so a very similar Q&A with other cities and their outreach people and whoever is the representative best.
That's why I wanted to
That's it.
capture the basic questions, because there's a lot of good information in this. So if there's a way to memorialize that and you're asking everybody the same thing, it's really easy to compare and contrast what they're doing.
Well, let's just move on. But as I say, I have 14 questions. I'll take those 14.
Perfect.
I just have, because there are some questions that were in this Q&A that are not in that, so I just
Please,
wanted to make
tell
sure
us.
we get those carried over, so.
Well, demographics and things like
Right,
that.
yeah, how many
Yeah.
in your point in
I'm
time?
going to incorporate that.
Okay, yeah, so
I'm going to do that anyway.
that would be my comment, is
Yeah.
just to make sure that
Yeah.
those are in there too.
Yeah. How many did you have in the last point of count? Things like that.
Right,
Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just adding these questions.
Excellent.
sure.
And then and you're gonna send them over, and then we'll all receive it, give our individual, please don't reply all, or we'll be BCC'd. So just reply to the email if you have anything you wanna tweak or you wanna add, and then that can be amalgamated and provided to Dick, and then your committee will have that, your work group will have that. Good?
Not to beat the dead horse, but the one question that I think would be really interesting to ask these other cities, and I know you're already going to do it, but what is the county's role in your process? It seems to me that you might get a different response from each city
Yeah.
on that. on that.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a
How many
great
dollars,
one.
what's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your county?
We'll compare what the other city, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's a great
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
That's a great question. You win. You win today. So Dick, thank you for all this thorough information. This is extremely helpful. We listed everything for the overall homelessness strategy and solutions for change. And then we can move on to the next item. Item 6, new business. The 2024 Human Affairs meeting calendar. Is that included here? And then we have that to take with us. Is it here in our packet and I'm just
Yes.
missing it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll refer.
I've never seen. There's something else.
It was at the bottom of
This is
my
2024.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's in my notebook.
April is,
What about December? It says 12. Do we have a December meeting this month?
We don't have a December meeting, right? Or do we have one?
December 12th.
December 12th.
Oh, we do, okay.
Okay, so do we have any,
Shows December 10 on my calendar.
Oh,
that's next year.
This year we,
2024.
yeah, this is next year.
so in just going through it, I'm seeing a few things. I think I was doing too many calendars at the same time.
do you want to send us out a corrected one?
Yes, but I think you want to go ahead and get this one approved with the following changes.
Okay, let me take a little peek here. Go ahead, what are the changes?
April 9th instead of 16th,
Okay,
August 13th instead of the 6th,
alrighty.
September 10th, I think that is it.
So it's always the second Tuesday.
Second Tuesday, right? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the 2024 Human Affairs Committee calendar?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you by Mr. Bowden. So we have approval of the 2024 Human Affairs meeting calendar.
Who did the second? Who did the second? Thank you.
Oral and written communication, do we have any?
I do. Thank you so much. Thank you for always making me feel welcome and included here at the Human Affairs Committee. And I think your energy is just exceptional in your leadership. Thank you.
I appreciate that. And grab a
before I-
cookie too.
Before I start my prepared comments, yes.
I just want, maybe you let everybody know that they have their last page is your comment. I didn't say anything that it was attached to the packet.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Before I start today, my mind has not been on inclement weather. I have enjoyed the summer in San Clemente tremendously, and just this week I started looking ahead at what's predicted for the weather here in San Clemente. So yesterday we met as a homeless collaborative and we discussed this, and we decided as a collaborative to come and start with the Human Affairs Committee because we think this is a good place to start with our request. So I don't want to take up a lot of time, so I wrote this morning, and I just want to go over it and get your response to it. So what I wrote is, thank you for your time today. I am proposing a cold weather respite program for San Clemente. Cold and rainy weather is predicted for San Clemente. We have persons in San Clemente, including seniors and women, that do not have access to housing, that will be exposed to the elements without a warm and dry place to sleep overnight. Knowing that the functions and duties of your committee is to act in an advisory capacity to City Council in all matters pertaining to human needs, including homelessness, within the city of San Clemente, and to act as a sounding board for human needs and homelessness within our community, I come to speak to you today both as a private citizen that lives in San Clemente and as a leader of the San Clemente Homeless Collaborative. Many programs can be easily replicated in San Clemente quickly and emergently before the cold and rainy weather is upon us. My request today is that you act in an advisory role to City Council in recommending action for implementation of a cold weather respite program. The San Clemente Homeless Collaborative stands ready to partner with the city and the Human Affairs Committee to successfully start a cold weather respite program. Costs would be minimal. Partnership by the city and Human Affairs Committee could include location of sites such as city-owned community center room. Hours could be 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. for cold weather respite, not interfering with any program schedule. Use of public bathrooms overnight, and follow-up by the outreach team, Carly and Troy, to assess any homeless persons needing overnight respite from the cold not already in their outreach service. Volunteers for overnight supervision could be provided by Homeless Collaborative, working with San Clemente churches, service organizations, and community volunteers. Please address this proposal. Due to emergent cold and rainy weather, our San Clemente homeless will be exposed to severe weather as early as this week without your actions today. Donna Vidrine, San Clemente resident and co-leader of San Clemente Homeless Collaborative. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Does anybody have any questions for Donna?
I have a comment. I think what Donna's proposing is that we find some space that the city can help provide, and then just let that space be used by service organizations to house people overnight in inclement weather.
Have you approached the city to propose this? Are you going to city council?
I have not gone to City Council to propose this year. I did last year, and I think we can all remember so I have not yet this year. I do plan on going to the next City Council meeting and propose basically what I'm proposing here today. But I think that if the Human Affairs Committee makes the recommendation to City Council, along with some public support and a plan, I think that we will be more successful in getting a cold weather respite program implemented in San Clemente this year, which we were unsuccessful with last year. And we did have issues with individuals out on the street exposed to the cold. I remember one individual, without naming her name, she ended up in the hospital, in the ICU for a couple of months. High cost, and not only the cost to her personally. Today, she's back out on the street because she did recover her health. It was life-threatening, but she was exposed to the cold weather in San Clemente on the streets, and she was a San Clemente resident. So I would like to do preventive strategies this year so that we don't run into the same problems, so that we don't have people, our citizens, calling and saying, I ran into this person as I was leaving a restaurant. They're having trouble breathing, they don't have a place to go, what can I do? I think as a city, we can do better than what we're doing today, and I would like to work together and come up with something that is better for our city and for our homeless population.
So if somebody is in trouble and it's raining cats and dogs, can Carly and Troy help them at all?
Carly and Troy work certain hours, and a lot of times the cold and rainy weather is after when they're off duty. So what happened last year with several individuals when it was life-threatening,
Don, I'm not even talking about life-threatening. I'm just talking about if somebody
I
needs
believe
help.
they've changed their hours now, because when I was just talking, there's someone there in the middle of the night now.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
With two of them, they cover a
Yeah,
lot of hours.
they cover-
Not really they cover all hours, but they cover a lot of hours.
Yeah.
And my understanding, to answer your question, is they don't have a place to refer people. They can ask FAM if they have room, and FAM will say, no, we don't have any beds. They can ask Friendship Shelter if they have any beds, and they say, we have a long waiting list, so that we'll put you on the list. So the answer is no, they really don't have a place.
So there really are no exigent circumstances that where resources are available for these folks.
Correct.
So I think what Donna's doing is asking us to make a recommendation, and I'll be glad to make a motion, that we kick it up to city council in our notes for this meeting. And I'll make a motion that we look into some sort of winter, I don't think respite's the right word, but whatever you want to call it, inclement weather place for.
Inclement weather temporary shelter.
We're not using the word shelter.
We're not using the S word.
The shelter is bad.
That will
Inclement weather,
lawsuits.
a place of lodging.
Cover.
Cover.
Should have left.
What, yeah, somebody said.
Inclement weather
Housing.
Program, yeah, program. And.
program.
And so.
I like
think
respite, actually,
City
because it means temporary, which is
Sorry, the
great.
city council, we're recommending the city council that they look into it.
How about respite program?
But I think city
like
council's
rest- yeah.
gonna want costs.
Donna, respite program?
Either that or
They
inclement
can,
weather
it's their,
program.
they're gonna,
But
say their
respite
program. They look
program, I
at
like
this.
that.
Inclement weather respite
We're just
program.
making a recommendation.
Yes.
It's
Okay.
simply a recommendation.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, let's take a vote. Dick?
I have a question
Oh,
in regards to the
yes.
motion. Do we know if there's a counting program available for this?
There
Oh,
is
there
not
is.
that I know of.
There
There,
is.
there are houses, shelter houses like,
Joplin?
yeah, but they're up, and once again, there's a waiting list for, I think, more for them, I believe. So the answer kind of is yes and no.
I think it needs more research before it goes to council. I think council's just gonna kick this back.
All
and say-
we're doing is making a recommendation.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to say that in regards to the conversation we were just having about our overall homeless strategy, part of that strategy is what happens when there's inclement weather. And
So-
so my question would be, why are we taking out of
Yeah.
that project a recommendation to the council when we could be researching that
Right, I
and
think
fully
we need to
understanding it
research.
before we let the council know what our findings are?
I guess the only reason is because we're so close to inclement weather. We
But
kind of
having
like
it
a ball
tomorrow.
rolling.
Yeah, but there's nothing we can do for tomorrow.
No, but it's gonna come in 2 weeks, 3 weeks too also. So
Yeah,
the
so
sooner,
it's-
it's sooner they act on it, whether they act on it or not, they may just pass it by. But it's.
I don't want them to, so my thinking is
Yeah.
similar to Tyler's. I don't want them to reject it out of hand, like, well, why are you giving us an assignment?
Yeah. when
Your
we should be doing
assignment
it.
was to determine what
Right,
best practices are and give that information to us.
You can't recommend a program that you don't know what
No,
it looks like.
exactly.
Well, and also in an order process, these minutes will go to the city council when, like next month or something? And so if Donna goes to the city council meeting next week to make the same recommendation, they'll
She's
do
gonna
that.
get action quicker than us waiting till next month. Yeah. I'm gonna have to go with
Yeah, I
what
agree
Tyler
with
said
what
about we
Tyler
have
said
to
too.
try to gather additional
We need
information
to get more. yeah.
because it is part of best practices. And there could be something that somebody's doing that makes perfect sense that we haven't even thought of, that we can piggyback on and replicate. Right?
I need to be clear just for myself. I am totally ready to help people that want to be helped and ready to help people that have ties to San Clemente, not Ohio,
Exactly.
not Las Vegas. So if they don't want to be helped, if their goal is to get warm so they can go out on the street tomorrow, I think what I'm doing is perpetuating their pain. And I
Exactly.
would not want to. I would not want to do that. Morally, I don't think it's moral. So
See, like Donna, for me, when you said she recovered her health and she's back on the street, that breaks my heart. Because she recovered her health,
And chose to go back out.
but she's back on the street. Her life hasn't improved. She didn't pass.
I don't know
But-
if she'd choose to be in the street. She is in
Right.
the street.
She
There
doesn't
she
have
chose to-
she doesn't have a place to live. She doesn't
And
have
it's
a
someone
roof
we're thinking,
over
I'm thinking of
her
someone
head.
different, because that, someone that's out on our streets, I know, had a place and chose to leave.
Her place was in the hospital.
Right,
Her
but then,
place was in rehab.
maybe different person,
Different person, I think.
different person.
How much, yeah, how much does that cost?
A lot.
Yeah, I just
Okay,
want to,
so,
if I could make another comment,
Please.
I don't want to devalue
Right,
the
Exactly.
problem that exists here.
Right.
I'm just, I want to be clear about what the Human Affairs Committee's role in this is, and also the timing of this,
Mm-hmm. Right.
especially given the fact that there's inclement weather
Right.
on the horizon very soon. What impact would us making a recommendation to the council have versus someone going to a council meeting, which will happen sooner than our minutes will arrive at the council? It seems that would be more effective to come straight to the council rather than them seeing it in our minutes. Yeah.
as the head of the homeless collaborative.
There you go, Donna.
I'll be there at the next city council meeting making the same request.
There's still a motion on the table.
I withdraw the motion.
Withdraw.
Thank you. So, my understanding is the consensus is to obtain, thank you for elucidating, to obtain best practices from other cities, what they do in the case of inclement weather. So that's part of our master list of questions. And then hopefully we can feed up some good ideas to council. One thing, to your point, this is an outstanding point, and this speaks to our entire work plan. If we try to hand something up to council that's a project for somebody else to investigate or for somebody else to make happen, they're not looking for assignments from us. They're looking for best practices from us that they can digest and then say, well, let's call through all of this and let's redline it, let's highlight what we like, and is there anything we can use here and what can we put to good use? Because they'll reject out of hand if we give them quote unquote an assignment, because everybody already has full-time responsibilities in other areas that they're focusing on. So thank you for pointing that out. It's well received and valid. Are you comfortable?
I am, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. I think we all support the fact that we want people to get help, Donna. Maybe there's a good way to do it here. Okay, I do believe that there are, any communications from staff? Dick?
I have, and I can send it around, it's, I got a local news blurb, and the former Tampico Motel on State College Boulevard, in the city of Anaheim, was converted into a small, young adult affordable housing program. They got, the state and the county gave them $7.5 million to convert it, to buy and convert it. The nonprofit Jamboree Housing is in talks with the city to run the future thing. So this is something every time I see the motels down in south end of San Clemente on El Camino Real get sold, and one just sold a few months ago. I don't know who's buying them, but the city should be really looking at that, and that's part of the housing issue.
Was it, you said young adults? It's for young adults?
Yeah.
So just young adults going in this?
Yeah.
So do you know what low income's considered in Orange County?
Yeah, right?
No, I'm dead serious.
Yeah, you should
They went on a tour of Jamboree Housing's facility in San Juan Capistrano.
Yeah.
And there's a certain number of units that are considered low income.
Yeah.
But do you know what low income's considered? Give me a
Based off
guess.
of
Under
the
70,000
median.
a year or something?
$100,000 a year.
100,000.
It's based off of the median average.
So when you
Which
think
is
about that,
more
perhaps it will
considered.
enable a teacher or a police officer or someone at that income level, and they'll be able to invest in the property, but it's not the people that live on our street that are going to be able to afford that housing.
Right. And they have to have a job.
Right.
They have to prove up that they can handle the income. And we have, the city already has a relationship with Jamboree.
Right. And I mean, heck, if Jamboree wants to come in and do a building like they did in San Juan Capistrano
and
and
teachers and
on
firefighters
Southwest.
in it, go for it.
Well, Jamboree did our Talega thing
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
Okay, the Tampico Motel is the third conversion of its kind in
$100,000.
Anaheim.
That's
Third.
the-
The city opened two other
Okay, EMT.
motel conversions. Huh?
I'll buy that.
21 and 22.
But I'd also like to point out that low-income housing doesn't have anything to do with shelter requirements and being able to
Enforce.
house people, get people off the street, because if they have to have an income in order to invest in a property,
Well, human
That-
affairs should be involved or at least interested in affordable housing. Don't you think? I guess you disagree. because you-
no, it's not part of our work plan that city council handed down to us. If
No,
city
I
council,
know, I'm just talking about the Human Affairs Committee itself. Shouldn't we be interested in housing? No?
oh, I'm
Is
very
that bad
interested
for
in
you?
it.
A deep breath, is that a bad idea that we're?
Oh, no, I'm writing Carter,
But-
Boise, Lantern, and Petrus Ford.
Affordable housing, though, when it's $100,000, that doesn't help our ones that are on the street, right?
I'm not talking about the homeless, I'm talking about affordable housing.
Right.
$100,000 a year.
That's who can qualify to go into those.
Okay, no, I don't know about that, actually.
You know, that's one thing I have absolutely no knowledge of
Yeah.
in regards to, we've got mobile homes around here and low incomes, and then we've got, our mobile homes that are right on the beach that are, renting for, we're selling for millions of
Oh, yeah.
dollars.
Crazy.
So I really don't know
So you're
what
talking
that
about-
means.
You're talking about housing
Housing
for the
itself, I mean,
homeless.
yeah.
Permanent supportive housing is one thing. FAM has 11.
Yeah.
We have 11
Yeah.
units. There's subsidized housing for people that really can't afford them.
Right,
Can't mentally.
right.
Look, Dick, I'd like to be
But I'm just
educated.
saying, yeah.
on
it's
that,
just
but
fun- it's-
I have
I'm
no
not saying we
knowledge.
could do anything. I'm just saying it should be interesting. Everybody should be interested in this.
Oh, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, did you know that low income in Orange County is $100,000? I didn't.
I didn't know
Crazy,
that.
yeah.
So I mean, I'm wondering if $100,000 is low income, what's working for?
There was a
No,
housing
I'm
element.
serious.
My head's about to explode again.
Yeah, I know.
The housing element update would be useful. I think it is pertinent to the Human Affairs Committee for us to address, and it's obviously not on our work plan, but it's something of interest to
I'm not
understand.
suggesting a work plan. I'm just presented this for information.
Sure.
No, it's
No, I buy
interesting.
it. I buy it. I'm interested.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the housing element update that just happened would be
Yeah.
informative.
Okay, any other new business? Communication from staff?
I have a comment.
Yes, sir.
There's a toy drive happening right now for the annual barbecue that the chamber puts on for 2-1, the Marine Battalion 2-1.
Okay.
So there's bins here at City Hall. There's one right outside the door here, and at the front door, there's a bin at the community center, and there's a bin at the aquatic center. So please share the word to buy toys. All those toys are going to be delivered to the Marine families at the barbecue on December 8th at San Onofre.
Is it our Marines right here?
It's 2-1, yeah, our adopted battalion.
Love it.
Did you work with Joe Watson on that, the 2-1? Is that his unit?
I'm not in charge of it,
Okay.
so I'm just putting the word out.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you.
Absolutely.
I'd like to adjourn this meeting to the next regular meeting of the Human Affairs Committee to be held on December 12th, 2023 at 3:30 p.m. Right here, same bat time, same bat channel. Thank you all.
thank you for the cookies.
You're welcome.
Cookies.
I did. You almost made it.